What's up, my dudes? What color do you get when you mix orange and green? I don't know, dude, but that was definitely some sparks flying last night in Supercross, so I just thought I would come on here and kind of give my take on the whole situation, and right off the bat, just letting you guys know, I'm not really what you would call like a fan of Tomac or a fan of Musquin. I'm just not. It's not that I hate either one of the guys, but it's not like I'm really like a super fan of either one of them either. I'm really just more neutral on both of them. So I really don't have any sort of kind of bias towards either one of them here. And I wanted to make that a really big point because it seems like in a lot of these sort of situations, that's what 99.9% of people's opinions are, is coming from their bias on whichever rider they like better. You know, it really doesn't even matter the actual situation or what happened. It's like, oh, I'm a ride or die Tomac fan, so I'm going to, be all in for Tomac no matter what he does on the track. Or they're a ride or die Musquin fan, so they're going to say Musquin's always in the right. And that's usually how those situations are. Whenever you're talking about, was this guy in the wrong or was that guy in the wrong, really it's more of a matter of these people like this guy more than they do the other guy. So I just wanted to get that across, that I really don't like Tomac over Musquin in any kind of way. I really was not a fan of either one of them there. So when it comes to actually talking about, like, was the pass too dirty? Should they be fined? Seems like a lot of people kind of get into that conversation when they start talking about that with motocross. So I feel like Ryan Villapoto said it best. He said something like, I don't expect an apology from you, so don't expect one from me. And it really goes a lot deeper than that when you actually think of it. And this is why I do not protest anybody for any reason on MX Simulator. I never have and I never will, because when you start trying to protest or say this person did something wrong or whatever, you try to like find somebody or whatever the case may be, you really try to go to the officials like you didn't think that was a good move. Well, now you're bringing the politics into it, and this is what I don't like about it. I don't think there is a line there. There's just, and it's impossible to make that line. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible to actually come back and make a consistent point of, okay, that was too dirty or that wasn't too dirty. That's impossible. So all you can really do is either have zero collision on the track, and if anybody even remotely touches each other on the dirt bikes, then you completely suspend them, or you just kind of allow anything, anything goes. And some of you guys might be saying, well, there has to be some policing on it or it'll just get out of hand. And I really disagree with that, because when you think about it, it all neutralizes itself within the riders in the series. So like if you're a really bad rider and you make a lot of dirty moves, the other riders in the series will handle that. You know what I'm saying? You cannot say that this was more dirty than that. I just don't think you can really do that, because people's intents are different. Some people, you could have a guy that meant to really wreck somebody and then have a guy over here that didn't really mean to do it. He just got in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the guy in front of him made a quick decision. They're on dirt bikes. Like, it's not like they can just 100% control everything that happens at all times. So it's just one of those things. Like, what I'm saying is, you could have a guy that meant to do it and then a guy that didn't mean to do it, but the outcome could be exactly the same on how the impact of the pass was made, and yet the intent was totally different. So it's like, I don't think you can really get into like penalizing people for how they pass somebody, or you have to penalize everybody for doing any little dirty pass whatsoever. I don't feel like there is a middle ground, a consistent middle ground there. I really don't think that's even possible. So that's what I say whenever I say it's more of a matter of like, either it's the Wild West or it's the nursery, or it's daycare. Like, you cannot have an in-between here. And that's what I'm saying is, like, you don't really need a guy over here saying, oh, well, that was too dirty or that wasn't too dirty, because then it starts getting into the politics of it where sometimes they might, be more harsh on a guy that's got more of a points lead to try to tighten up the points. Seems like they've done that before in certain, Supercross series and stuff like that. So I feel like you need to leave it out of the hands of the people that aren't even directly involved. Leave it to the people that are actually on the track. If somebody runs into you, don't get mad and go whine to the officials. Just handle that shit, dude. Handle it on the track the next weekend. Don't go getting mad about it and trying to get that dude fined or suspended or whatever. Like, that's just stupid. First of all, that's not even going to do anything anyways. And second of all, there's just no, like I'm saying, there's just no point at the end of it, because like Tomac has done dirty passes in his past. They've all done dirty passes. So it's one of those things, either you're going to have like basically no racing, no hard racing, no hits in the corners, no collision, no contact with people at all, or you're just going to have to pretty much allow anything. And it'll all handle itself on the track. That's what a lot of people kind of forget about. Like, if somebody is known as a dirty rider or whatever, like, the other riders in that series realize that, and they can make a difference on the track, dude. So I feel like it needs to be more based around your reputation with the other riders, more so than it does need to be based on the politics of the officials. I don't think it should ever be based around that. I think it should basically be anything goes as far as how you collide with somebody else on the track. It should not you should not like have the potential to get suspended for how hard you hit somebody, or have the potential for getting fined for how hard you hit somebody. I just don't think that can even hold up, because if you start going down that route of like, this guy passed that guy a little too hard, or that was like a foul crash, well, now it's almost like a judge court case, and then it's too complicated at that sense, because then you've got to try to keep it fair with everybody, and you couldn't possibly do that, because this guy hit that guy, this guy done that, and then it's like, are you picking favorites? And then it just goes into that. If you just leave it all on the track, I promise you the shit will handle itself. These people that get mad about, like, I understand if you get mad that you get hit in a corner and you want to speak about it, like, I get that part of it, but by no means am I like condoning dirty riding in this video. That's not what I'm saying. I have a ton of respect for the people that haven't rode dirty. The people that just, they know what they're doing on the track. Like, for instance, Villapoto, Dungy, not really dirty riders. They just get the job done. And I have a lot of respect for them, but I also understand that shit happens when you're racing dirt bikes. It just happens, and it just shouldn't be up to the officials whether or not it was too dirty or not, because there's just, I don't know, it's just racing at the end of the day, man. I really do believe that. Like, you might hear me talking about in some videos, like if I get upset at somebody because they ran into me on lap 1 or whatever, I might talk about that, but I will never say that guy should have been suspended for that, or that guy should have got fined for that, or whatever. And I don't protest a soul for any reason, because I don't ever, it's just like going back to what Ryan Villapoto was saying with it's a man-to-man straight-up thing. Like, I don't expect an apology from you, so don't expect one from me. And that's really all it comes down to. It's like, do you want to be man-to-man with racing, or do you want to be like, oh, I thought this was a little too hard of a pass, so let me go cry to my mama official? Like, no, dog, that doesn't work. That's not how that goes, man. Now, when it does change is when you have a lapper that does something. That's when it's a whole different situation. I'm talking about if you got two dudes in position and they both are trying to, pass each other and trying to race, it really has to become that anything goes or nothing goes. If you ever want to keep it consistent, it has to be like that. But what I'm saying, though, is like if it's a lapper doing something stupid or holding somebody up or whatever, that's a totally different story. And because that person's not even actually on the same lap, they're not even actually in that certain position. So in that sense, I feel like, yeah, that person could be suspended or whatever for that incident. But when it comes to just racing, Like some dude running into some guy in the corner. When it comes to dirt bike contact in racing, you cannot have a sort of line drawn anywhere. It's impossible. You'll never ever be able to do it. So that's kind of my take on it. I didn't really talk about the actual situation itself, and I understand that. I really didn't have to talk about the situation. It really doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter how Musquin hit Tomac. It does not matter. It just really doesn't. Like, if you're upset, Tomac, just get him back in the next race. That's all there is to it. You know, and I mean, like, when someone runs into you, getting up and giving them the thumbs up is not actually helping you at all. I just had to say that right there. You know how Tomac kind of had his little incident where he got up and, you know, gave the thumbs up. Like, I understand you're pissed, but, like, dog, get back on that bike, dude. Quick as you can. You're wasting time if you're giving your thumbs up to somebody. Like, get back on that motherfucking bike. This is not basketball. This is a collision sport. Like, that's what it is. Either way, man, that's my opinion on the whole situation. Some crazy racing. It was exciting. Like, I understand where Tomac's coming from. I understand where Musquin's coming from. Like, I get it on both sides, but it just comes down, at the end of the day, it's, you cannot say that, well, this was worse than that, or that was more dirty than that, or he should get fined this much. Like that where Osborne hit Savachi, and I think Osborne actually got fined for that last year. I thought that was utter horseshit. That should have never happened. There's been contacts made like that in damn near every single LCQ in Monster Energy Supercross. Damn near every single LCQ, you got direct impacts, and they don't do anything about it because it's an LCQ. It's not a main event. Well, that shouldn't even make a fucking difference. You know, it should be a matter of, do you allow contact or do you not allow contact? Is it a contact sport or is it not a contact sport? I mean, let me know, because if it is, shit, anything goes, dude. Anything should be allowed in that realm, because there's no way to put a boundary upon it. There's no way to put a scale upon it. You just can't do it. You cannot do that. I know I was kind of seeing Tomac talk about that a little bit in the press conference, like, where's the line at? Well, there really is no fucking line. And when you go take Musquin out next weekend, there's not going to be a line on that either. It's a respect game of, like, okay, how did you run into me while we were racing? Okay, that's how I'm going to treat you when I race you. You never want to get the officials involved, because then it's like an outside source. You want the direct competitors involved. You know, let the riders handle it. Do not let the one official that may have a you know, sort of a hidden agenda handle the situation. That's never a good way to go about doing it. Let the riders handle it. It'll iron itself out. It always does, dude. Just saying, it always does. So, and that's when you've got one rider in one position and another rider in the position on the same lap. We're not talking about lappers here. We're talking about two dudes fighting for an actual position. That there should be no restriction to the collision, to the contact, or there should be 100% restriction. You can't even touch bikes. That's how it should be, period. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.